The following program is a presentation of the Seattle Seahawks and the National Football League.
It's the third game of the preseason, meaning starters like Cam Chancellor and Russell Wilson and all the rest of the Seahawks starters will get their most extensive playing time of the preseason campaign before it all wraps up 17 days from today at the start of the regular season. But right now they wrap up the preseason campaign at home, hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Hello again, everybody. Kurt Menafield alongside Seattle sports icon Brock Hewitt. And Brock, this third preseason game, a lot of people call it the dress rehearsal, but really, it's the last chance for the guys who are going to be starters and big-time contributors to show what they can do in the preseason.
Yeah, the way I like to look at it, Kurt, it's a payoff of the entire offseason, and Russell Wilson in this offense wants to pay off a lot of work that they put in April and May and June and July. Yes, there's some new pieces up front, but there's a lot of experience at wide receiver, at quarterback, and Russell talked about trusting his instincts tonight. Those instincts have been phenomenal in this building, scored a lot of points, and he wants to see that starting unit get in the end zone tonight.
Well, one of the starting units that they are really interested to see how they perform is that starting offensive line.
It feels like there's three guys for two spots. They know Gary Gilliam can play, started every game at right tackle last year. This is really about Bradley Sowell, left tackle, who had a very solid week one of the preseason at Kansas City. Struggled a little bit last week against a good Minnesota group. He's going to have every opportunity to prove he can be their left tackle. He's a try-hard guy, and he's going to give you everything he has. And on the other side is big Jamarcus Webb, probably the biggest human being on this team. He's not been able to get on the field with some injuries the last couple weeks. I know they're excited to look at him next to Fetty, two very gigantic, powerful men, and see what that combination is capable of.
And Gary Gilliam still in the mix there. There will be a lot of guys trying to show what they can do. Bobby Wagner and company getting ready for the dress rehearsal. The kickoff of it is up next. Well, Seahawk fans know the deal about Russell Wilson. 3 times in the Pro Bowl, 2 times in the Super Bowl, 1 Super Bowl victory, putting up numbers unprecedented for a player in his first 4 seasons, including leading the league in passer rating last year at 110.1.
And a lot of that had to do with the touchdown passes that ramped up later in the season as well. And 101 for his career in those 4 years. There's a lot of guys that try to get compared to Russell Wilson, a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. When you talk about touchdown passes being a difference maker, in their first 4 years, it's only Marino and Manning. That's on the list for Russell Wilson when it comes to the amount of touchdown passes. That opening drive, a little bit sloppy with that #1 group. This is a lot more like the efficiency Russell and this group is used to. But scoring touchdowns an emphasis. It was an emphasis in the second half of the season. This is a quality opportunity here in the preseason with a 3rd and short.
So is getting the ball out quickly, which we've seen the Seahawk offense do here on the second drive in particular. Like right now, Doug Baldwin trying to fight his way for the first down. He needed to get down to the 7-yard line. No gain on that one. So to bring up 4th down, decision time for Pete Carroll. He's sending out Stephen Hauska.
And this Dallas crew, as I said, the strength I think of their defense is their secondary, and they're a little smaller at that second level at linebacker as well. You've seen now 2 of those bubble screens, and you hope to outflank a defense and get on an edge with their so many defenders, but Dallas running, pursuing very well, forcing the field goal.
27-yard attempt by Hauska. Let's watch the snap by Freeze. On the mark, John Ryan gets it down, and the Seahawks first team offense gets its first points of the preseason. Finally something for the Seagulls to cheer about. It's 7-3 early on in the second quarter. Wilson scrambling, throws downfield. He's got time to unlock it. Down inside the 10-yard line. 27 more.
There's instincts. When Russell tells us yesterday repeatedly, I just want to trust my instincts, get back to what makes me go, and look at Jamarcus Webb. This is where 6'7", 330 can be advantageous. Right, look at just the size to try to get around. A pretty good initial rush there by Dallas, but Jamarcus moves his feet and just gives Russell the opportunity to get away. And how many plays have we seen of Russell Wilson do just that, keeping it alive? That secondary play where he's so dangerous.
First and goal. Wilson towards the end zone. Paul Richardson, touchdown Seahawks.
Good heavy package, play action pass. You've seen the Seahawks run this play 4 years. And what I love about this is Paul Richardson's the most wiry wide receiver on this roster. And he fights right through that contact. That's Morris Claiborne, very physical corner, and he does not allow that push and that contact to get in the way of him scoring the touchdown. And Pete loves it.
Here's Hauschka. Tacks on the extra point. And so the Seahawk first-team offense, which hadn't scored in 2 preseason games, has scored twice in 4 drives and has the lead.
For many years, you've seen this fullback be quite a weapon as Russell gets out on the edge. But it's not just that primary read. It's not number 1 and 2 in your progression. Will Tukuafu is covered. You see the defense react. And that really is, once again, a picture of anticipation. Russell throws that ball while Paul Richardson is not even halfway across the field, but there's enough air on it, and it's thrown early enough that you allow your wide receiver to go finish it. Tom Cable loves it. Offensive linemen love it when the ball gets out of your hands. So much of an emphasis, you know, in the second half of last year, Kurt, with that, get rid of the ball, play faster, get it out of your hands. And that's wonderful to say, but it means nothing if you do not execute on the other end of it and have the receivers go get it. It frustrates a defense, it fuels an offensive line, and man, wide receivers love when you give them an opportunity to finish for you on the other end.
Russell Wilson on those 2 scoring drives was 6 for 6 that led to the field goal, 4 for 4, including the touchdown there.
This broadcast is copyrighted by NFL Productions for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of NFL Productions is prohibited.
Back here live at CenturyLink Field, the Seahawks and Cowboys tied at 10 at the half. The Seahawks scoring their touchdown on a 9-yard pass from Russell Wilson to Paul Richardson. Let's take a look at some of the stats from the first half, Dave. And the Cowboys were able to move the ball, 194 total yards. What's your take on the Seahawks defense?
Well, they still are trying to find their way a little bit, and it's just little things. And I'm always a little bit tougher on the defense than I am the offense, but, you know, still in the running game, they just little things like, you know, Frank Clark, he had force, but he got too much of the block and couldn't get outside to turn the play back in. And so, you know, just little things like that. Cam Chancellor, got to wrap up. Even though you're a big hitter, you got to wrap guys up. So, you know, little things like that that can definitely get cleaned up.
Aside from a couple of penalties, the Seahawks starting offensive line showing up for the 3rd straight preseason game tonight.
That continues to be one of the great, pleasant surprises for this team. And you look at Jamarcus Webb, he looked really good, blocking at right tackle a little bit. And Sal, even though he got the penalty, just he kind of went J.R. Sweezy there a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, other than that, you're seeing him really give Russell actually a lot of time. And some of the times you see Russell in the preseason this year vacating the pocket, he doesn't really have to. He's just trying to make a play.
We'll see how the Seahawks starting offense does in the second half. 1 or 2 series. Let's throw it back up to the booth and rejoin the guys in the booth. Kurt Menefee and Brock Hewitt, guys.
All right, Brock, what did you see?
So 2 very efficient quarterbacks. Russell Wilson with a 122 rating, 13-16. Dak Prescott, well, right where he's been all preseason as well. Those 2, a combined 28 for 35. That's 80% completions. I also saw Dallas run the ball better than the Seahawks did. So my hunch The staff is so good at making adjustments in the second half. I think you'll see a little more focus from the Seahawks group, especially with Webb still in that game, and the backups really want to establish a little more of that run game, I think, in the final 30 minutes.
And the points came on 2 of those last 3 drives by the Seahawks offense. So it seems as though they got into something of a rhythm. We'll see if Russell Wilson comes back out to start the second half. That was the expectation before tonight, that he would play, and along with the rest of the starters on offense, the first half, and then come out for at least 1 series in the second.
Yeah, 16 passing attempts, just 7 rushing attempts, but many of those passes of that almost outside run variety. It was almost as if you're going to slam it between the tackles with Kristen, and the run game was Doug Baldwin or Tyler Lockett, or those little bubble screens to the outside. Kind of efficiency that Russell's used to in the passing game. Just like to see the Seahawks establish that line of scrimmage in that run game, such a priority for them always, especially in this building, to get it going in the second half.
Seahawks will have it first to start this second half. Tyler Lockett out of the end zone. Cuts it back. Just a play, a step away from breaking it. 26 yards on the return by Lockett. So it'll be good starting field position for the Seahawks as Russell Wilson comes back out. And you mentioned his numbers there in the first half, 13 of 16 passing, and his first touchdown of the preseason, scoring on 2 of their last 3 drives.
And when this thing was humming, the ball was out of his hands so quickly last year. There weren't many occasions in that first half where he held it very long, and he distributed pretty equally amongst all of his weapons on the outside. You see Tukuafu in the game. My hunch is early here, try to establish a little bit of run.
The entire starting unit back in for Seattle. Kristen Michael. Good cut. Michael out across the 40. Dances his way out to the 44-yard line.
Well, this looks like Seahawks circa 2005, where you bring a fullback in the game. You're in a 3 wide receiver set, and you've got the perfect clean box. You've got 6 people to take care of 6 of those defenders inside, a hat on a hat. And Jermaine Kearse does his job on the nickel defender, and you give Kristen Michael that kind of room and space against the safety, he's going to make a miss.
Seahawks had 22 yards rushing in the first half, 20 on that one. Good start here in this third quarter. Michael again cuts it back. Big hole into Cowboy territory out across the 40-yard line.
And look at big Jamarcus Webb and crew establishing themselves. This is Russell Wilson, and he's checking. This is a check with me, and he's running away from that safety who rotates down. And unfortunately there for the Dallas Cowboys, Jeff Heath rotates down, and he loses his leverage and contain. And Kristen Michael, when those zone read teams say, put your foot in the ground and you get going, that's a perfect illustration of it right there.
17 yards on that run. Off the play fake. Wilson. Incomplete, intended for Jermaine Kearse. Russell was just kind of backpedaling, had to loft that one up there a little bit more than he wanted.
He had to throw that one, and you could see Jermaine knew he had him. 2 runs, you get those people, those linebackers sucking up. Unfortunately, Russell unable to plant his feet with the pressure in his face and just a little short. And this is a good look now at Webb playing some left tackle. We talked about kind of rotating these guys around and looking at those 3 tackles. Jamarcus on the left side.
C.J. Procise. And the 3rd round rookie out to the 35-yard line.
And he runs right behind big Jamarcus Webb and Mark Glowinski. You know, Dallas is the best offensive line in the league. And in fact, that first half reminded me a lot of the 2005 Seahawks, where you had 3 Pro Bowlers and you just did what you wanted to do in the run or the pass game. But as far as raw strength, when you look at Britt, Glowinski, Webb, Affetti, the power that those men generate, not going to be too many bigger at the line of scrimmage this season.
Seahawks need him to protect here on 3rd down. Wilson going up top. Doug Baldwin overthrows him. Incomplete. Baldwin had a step on the defender.
He sure did. That's the route combination that Doug and Russell have had so much success. The little kind of combo rub wheel route. And you can see that's just a half step off. This is first Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin. It's emerged into many people. Jermaine Kearse this time. You will see that route often from the Seahawks when they get press man-to-man coverage. And Pete knows it, nearly another touchdown for the Seahawks.
So Steven Hauska from 53 yards out will try to give the Seahawks the lead. Right through. And so the Seahawks come out, take the ball first in the second half and put up the first points of the second half. They're back on top by 3. Seahawks on top 13-10. Good offensive possession to start the second half, resulting in a field goal. Good defensive possession. Got him the ball back, and there's Jamarcus Webb staying in at left tackle.
And this is the continuity that Dave Wyman was talking about in the pregame show. This is why Russell is still in with 11.5 to go. You want to get these reps with this offensive line. That's Jamarcus Webb playing on the left side. You saw Sawa in the first half. Webb's getting in the mix. Remember, Jamarcus played some left tackle early in his career with the Bears, with Mike Tyson, Chicago. He flipped over, played on the right side. Came in and played guard last year for the Raiders. One of those very valuable pieces because of his versatility. And the Seahawks do it a little differently than the rest. He's not your prototypical finesse left tackle in a lot of systems, but in a run-first group like Seattle is, they love his size.
Starting at the 30, here's Christine Michael, big hole. Tripped up, 10 yards to the first down.
And you're still seeing some of the starters there for Dallas. That's Hitchens, their weak side linebacker, and this is running right at you. This is where Kristen has found so much success. A nice job there by Gary Gilliam on the right side, washing that edge down. That's Ryan Russell. He pushes all the way out of his gap, turning the shoulders of those defensive linemen. You start to do that, and you put those face masks sideways, you give your running back a two-way go to explode through.
Wilson on the keeper. Michael ahead of him blocking. Didn't get much on the run, 3 yards. And Christine Michael, so much has been made of him coming back as a new guy, but really what he's become is an all-around pro. And
a very intentional guy. Now, we saw earlier with Dak Prescott kind of a discombobulated play where he and the running back run into each other in the backfield. That's a situation where Russell feels all of that upfield pressure. And instead of running Christine Michael into a headache, into a collision with a linebacker or a defensive tackle, in that case it's in the backfield, he's got the wherewithal and the awareness to pull it and make, like Dak Prescott, something out of nothing.
Wilson with time, looking wide open. McAvoy didn't have anyone even remotely near him. A busted coverage by the Cowboys. And Tanner McAvoy with a huge gain of 43 yards.
Tanner, pretty intriguing kid who's played safety initially, then he's wide receiver. This time he's a hand-on-the-ground tight end. That is a deep over route. And part of the reason that zone coverage was busted is you're looking at 4.5 seconds. Really nice job by Luke Wilson to give Russell even more space. Sometimes the most difficult part of that play is making that catch as he's watching it sail to him 40 yards. But Tanner, the huge play, much like he had the first week of the preseason.
To the 15, Curse down inside the 10. And you mentioned McAvoy. He's found a way to get himself in the mix. Everybody, pretty much assumes. I mean, Richardson, Curse, Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, those are going to be your top 4. The battle is for that 5th, maybe 6th slot, and I don't know how many people were talking about Tanner McAvoy before week 1, but they certainly are now.
I know how many. 0. Because he was a safety here.
Yeah,
he was a quarterback in Wisconsin. He was a wide receiver. Yeah. He was a little bit of everything.
But take advantage of the opportunities he's been given.
And if there's an organization in this league that you want to come join, you want to be an undrafted rookie free agent, you want to come here. We're 26 guys on this roster were of that ilk. And Pete has always been enamored with big wide receivers. You've seen it all his years at USC. You saw it with Mike Williams here in Pete's early years in Seattle. And Tanner is big, 6'6", 230.
They even worked him out a little bit at tight end this week because of some injuries, and at least he's willing to do anything.
And that's exactly where he was right there. Mm-hmm. And it's a deep play action pass, and the Seahawks love to mix their timing and tempo. They will get the ball out of their hands in less than a second, and then they will take those deep shots because Russell has the arm strength to push it down the field 40, 50, even 60 yards. And a real credit to the offensive line. amazing what a little run game will do to slow down those defenders and create those play-action shots.
J.J. Wilcox was the injured Cowboy. He's off the field. And so it's second down. Here's C.J. Precise hitting the backfield, spins his way, and maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe a loss of a yard. Jay Crawford on the stop.
That was nice penetration there, a little zone read play. We thought we'd see Precise for about 15 snaps or so. He's going to stay in the game in third down on this third down situation. You've got Doug, you've got Precise who can catch it out of the backfield. Your tight ends can catch it. That's where you become so dangerous in the red zone.
They can pick up a first down at the 5. Precise in the backfield. Wilson from the shotgun. Brings it down. Still looking downfield. Wilson. Towards the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Tyler Lockett. The scramble by Russell Wilson to keep that alive and eventually find Lockett for the touchdown.
Instincts. Russell said in our production meeting, he said, well, you know, Brock, when you spin around, it's just instincts. I never spun around once in my life in the pocket. He does a double spin around, and he never loses sight. And this is where you get really, really difficult to defend, because Tyler Lockett is out on the playground with Russell, and the more and more reps that you take, you find openings, you find a connection, and you find touchdowns.
Steven Hauschka adds the point after. 2 possessions, 2 scores in the second half. The Seahawks have scored on 4 of their last 5 drives and have opened up a 10-point ball game. Here in the fourth quarter, Seahawks hanging on up by 17 points. It's been a nice night all around for this Seahawk team.
Want to clean up the special teams phase. They didn't get the returns, as Lockett really wasn't given many opportunities, but everybody contributed. That's what I love to see. Kearse got his. Baldwin. Luke Wilson got his first catch. Lockett got 3 in the touchdown reception. Really good tempo and rhythm from their offense.
Cowboys start inside the 30. Darius Jackson runs right into the arms of Brock Coy. Well, down there on the Seahawks sideline, we're joined by Seahawk quarterback Russell Wilson. First of all, thanks for joining us, Russell.
Oh, thank you guys for having me, man. It was a good day so far. Now we should keep winning it.
You know, it's one of those things. I know the fans and a lot of people were talking about the first team offense not scoring any points the first 2 games. You told us you just wanted to have some consistency. It certainly looked like you got it tonight. You feel that way?
Well, the first game, you know, we played 1 possession, you know, and we were rolling. Then we had that mishap, but we were rolling. We were doing really. We felt really good after that first game. Second game, we hurt ourselves. We got ourselves in second and long, third and longs, and that's on me. And so we just got to keep staying on schedule. I told those guys out in the field today when we were out there, hey, listen, hey, we got the right guys, man, the right guys in this huddle. Let's just play 1 play at a time, and ultimately, let's just stay on schedule. Let's keep the tempo up. And sure enough, we scored a bunch of touchdowns out there.
Russell, you told us yesterday you want to trust your instincts. Easier to do so when your line protects the way they did?
Oh, man, they're phenomenal. You know, they give me all the time in the world down there. That red zone touchdown that we had down there was really, really, really cool. I mean, just was able to sit there, look. Then I, backed up, spun out, and then we had enough time to find Tyler Lockett in the corner of the end zone. Those are the things we got to be able to do.
They're on third down. The pitch taken by Jackson, and he picks up the first down, so we can spend a little bit more time with Russell Wilson there on the sideline. And, when you take a look at the way that your team has played tonight, I know you're in charge of the whole team as the quarterback, and so I want you to give me an overview of this third preseason game that people consider the most important and how the Seahawks performed.
Well, it's been great because we've had a lot of the ones and the guys who are fill-in guys. They played great tonight, offense and defense, special teams. We've done a lot of great things tonight, so we got to go home and watch the film and study it. But the energy, the fans tonight, it's a real thing right now. It feels like the real thing, a real deal, real game. Obviously playing against the Cowboys, great football team. So, coached extremely well, got a lot of great players. So we have tons of respect for them.
And one thing that you got a chance to get started with tonight was the Strong Against Cancer initiative.
Yeah.
And just talk a little bit about that and what brought you to that, donating over $1 million along with Safeway tonight.
Well, such a blessing. And first of all, a quick short story here. I was able to meet a kid named Milton Wright, African-American kid, 19 years old, had cancer 3 different times in his lifetime. And, go to Children's Hospital every Tuesday. And this is about 2.5, 3 years ago. Going to the hospital, and every room's different. Go into the room, and there's so much going on. The kid's, he's feeling down, only left 12 more hours left to live. The doctor comes up to me, there's one more thing we can try. They're taking the T cells out of the kid's body, regenerating them, re-energizing them, putting them back in the kid's body. Within a 2-week period, Milton was healed and feeling like 100%. And then Sierra and I, we were leaving the Children's Hospital the other day, leaving a room to go to the next room. And all of a sudden, Milton on my left comes out on the left-hand side. He's coming out of a room like, Milton, what are you doing here? I'm nervous. Something's wrong. And, Milton's like, no, man, I'm great. I'm just going around each room and telling them about the T-cell therapy, strong against cancer, and just keep believing, keep praying. And those are the things that matter in this world. Football's great, and I want to keep winning, keep playing great football games. But us as a community, as people, in society, we got to give back. We got to help. And the drive event has been amazing past 3 years. Casey Cannon and I, we've been having a lot of fun with that. So much fun playing golf. A golf game's okay, but we've been able to raise over $1 million, and we were able to donate that tonight. The Why Not You Foundation. It means a lot. And the Why Not You Foundation, it's to empower change one individual at a time, one kid at a time. So mission was accomplished tonight.
A charitable cause that's truly making a difference. And you say your golf game's okay. We also saw you dancing on the video, but I don't know about the dance game.
Hey, don't worry about that right now.
All right. Take care of yourself, Russell.
Thank you, guys. Go Hawks. Why not you?
All right. Russell Wilson, after a good night, leading the Seahawk offense to 4 scores and 6 drives, and the defense coming through as well. Stephen Terrell with the sack.
Well, we've seen this pressure. We saw it earlier with Jeremy Lane, that unblocked defender coming off the edge, and Terrell doesn't give it away. That's one of the critical components. The face mask never moves. He doesn't give that quarterback any tell whatsoever, and a young, inexperienced quarterback, well, he gets no read on it. There's Showers as he gets wrapped up by Terrell. You think Russell was a little excited today?
He could barely get the words out.
I would be excited too.
Well, if you play like he did tonight, there's a lot to be excited about.
And I think most excited, quite honestly, about the personnel around him. He knows what he can do and what he's capable of doing. His resume speaks for itself. But when you get that help around you up front, you run the ball the way they did, they mix it up. It's kind of execution that we were looking at in the second half of last season when he shattered a lot of franchise records.
Well, the Seahawk defense has played well, starters and backups. 3rd sack of the game, and give the ball back to the offense, up by 17.